Hello. Happy Monday. It is a warm Monday here for the middle of February, so I'm kind of happy about that. It's like 40 some degrees. A little bit of rain, but it happens every day. So I put up a post earlier today about sex and love, and this whole month I've been reading Iyanla Vanzant's book until today because it's so good. And the whole month of February is about love. So her post today, I posted earlier today and said that I was going to do a live video around 6:45. So here it is. Let's talk about sex and love. Are they the same thing? Can they be separated? Does sex make me feel love? Does love make me want to have sex? Right? So I'm sure that everybody has a different opinion out there about what this is about. And I just like to point a few things out, especially for what she says in my previous post. And if you want to go back and check it out, feel free. But one of the most important things she says is like love and sex are not the same thing, because they're not. But so frequently people tend to not be able to separate out the difference. And have their programs and their structure and their belief system dictates what those things are, or they're usually protecting themselves from getting hurt in some way. So sex does not connect up with love, and they keep very disconnected from love while having sex. And, sometimes they go together. And I think originally, before all the trauma, people, as human beings, as people, we all want to be able to feel the love and have the sexual encounter while in love and being open and completely vulnerable and merging with another person. But as soon as we get our first heartbreak, or as soon as something happens, even before we become intimately involved with other people, there's things that can happen to people like abuse and certain situations with parents, with kids when they're little and things like that. So, some things could happen that would create us to have that wall and to separate those two things out. And that creates a host of issues, in somebody's life. And we all know what those things are and what they end up to be. So I think what's most important is that what she says here, when you love, you're not afraid to share the truth of who you are, and you accept the truth of others without judgment. Love feels good because it is good, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. So I think, what she's saying is you're not afraid to share the truth of who you are. And I think what happens is, and this is what I say is my biggest theme, and what I do with people and helping people to discover their true self, is when you're able to express that truth and to say, this is who I am, only then you're available to love and to receive love and to be able to fully be giving love. As long as you're withholding the truth, you're not being loving. And that is a theme in a couple of her posts that she posted this month. And I just thought it was a really powerful statement. And if you think about it, a lot of people are just blocking their own truth. So then when they try to connect with another person, they try to connect maybe just through sex, and they're not really understanding why they're not feeling the love or why they tend to separate those things out. And, sex can be all kinds of things. It can give you a sense of power, can make you feel good, can put you on a high. It releases endorphins in the brain just like any other drug, and you can become addicted to it. That's why there's Sex Love Addicts Anonymous out there, just as well it is for any other type of addiction. Food, drugs, alcohol, whatever else is out there. So we can become addicted to hiding our true self. We become addicted to protecting ourselves. We become addicted to not being in connection. We become addicted to disconnection. And then we feel comfortable there. We feel safe there. We feel that we're stuck there, right? We were not able to get out of it. And then what ends up happening is we go through motions, and then, we keep searching for something that keep striving to get on the outside of ourselves. And then we, try to find it again and again and again through connecting with people and, sleeping with people or having different partners. And you're thinking like, this is the one. No, this is going to be it. This is going to be it. And then we tend to blame everybody that we meet in relationships for the reason why it's not working out. But really, maybe there's part of us that has closed down our heart that isn't able to connect on that deep level. So, Natalie, what's up? Oh man, I miss you so much. I am preaching. I've been preaching. I've been on one all week, and I just decided to, share, and here I am sharing. So thank you for listening. Thank you. So love is what we're created in, right? We're created in love. God is the ultimate love. It's the ultimate thing that holds our entire universe together is love. And so sex can't be love. Right? Sex is just a component of an expression of love. And sex doesn't have to be an expression of love by any means, and it's oftentimes not. So, I was watching this YouTube, Netflix, or not YouTube, what the hell am I saying? I was watching this Netflix show called Messiah, right? And it's like maybe it's a conspiracy, maybe it's the second coming, whatever the case may be. But there is a part in one of the episodes in that show that really hit home for me. There was a guy, and he was a FBI agent, and he was like spying on this guy that they think is the Messiah. And he's watching his interaction with a woman that they sent to try to seduce him sexually, to see what if he would bite. So the guy is watching the scene, and, is this, this isn't who you are. And, she just kind of looks at him or whatever, and, he says, where are you in there? And so then she starts to get teary-eyed, and, he says, how can you be the person God intended you to be if you're not being honest about who you are? And I was like, boom, this is a good writer to this show. Holy crap, right? So then the girl starts crying, and then he's like, I love you. I love what is eternal in you. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. So there is a huge difference. She goes in presenting like this sex gift, and she's all attractive and sexy and whatnot. And he's like, no, that has nothing to do with love. And then he opens her heart, and then she leaves, and, she gives up her ways and gives that guy the money back and says, I'm not doing this because I love who I am, and this isn't what I want to do. This isn't the truth of who I am. So it always goes back to truth. Everything does. Everything goes back to truth. So it is something that I have personally worked through. Oftentimes the work that I share with other people is something that I personally work through. This one is really huge. This one is really personal to me. There were so many years after my first heartbreak when I was young, I felt myself shut down. I felt the moment that I said, F this, I'm not opening my heart again, and yet I'm going to keep going and having sex. And, I stayed in that mode for years. I would try to put the two together, and when I would feel myself opening my heart again, and when I would feel myself like in a relationship trying to combine the two, I would run, or I would shut down, or, I would create a circumstance that matched the story that I had that this couldn't happen. And that happened to me over and over and over. And then I would, run out of that relationship and be like, okay, now I'm going to be, empowered by the sexual piece again. And, I used it for power. I used it from control. I used it to make myself feel worthy. I used it to make myself feel attractive. I used it to affirm that I'm good at something. I mean, for so many things. And it was because I was so afraid to get my heart broken, but yet my heart was breaking all the time anyway. It just wasn't in a magnitude that it could break. And I needed my heart to break open completely in order for me to be able to allow love to come pouring out of it. So I got my heart broken completely. And after I had a spiritual awakening, I got my heart shattered, and I was like, whoa, okay, this is amazing. This is intense. This is awful. This is all of these things, but I feel everything again. And that was a heart awakening. And then when I was approached with the opportunity to be intimate and sexual with my heart open and in that place of love, it was probably the best thing I've ever felt in my life. And I was like, wow, this supersedes any type of sex that I was having before. This blows that out of the water. This blows out of the water just the love that I would feel, but yet keep the sex over here, you know. And that shows up in a multitude of ways for people. Every day I see it happen all the time. You know, people will come to me and be like, well, I love this person, just not sexually attracted to them. Or I'm sexually attracted over here and very drawn over here, but this isn't a nice person and I shouldn't be with them. That is because of what you created. That's because of your creation of separating sex and love to protect your heart. When you bring the two of them together, and you're open and you get shattered, and then at the same time you know your truth. So let me just add something on there. Opened my heart and got it shattered, but at the same time I started to learn the truth about who I was. Who I really am at a soul level. Has nothing to do with what I do, what my label is, what I like to wear, what color do I do, what do I do every day? No, the true self was able to emerge, and only in that place are you able to find the ultimate love. And love is much more than romantic relationship. Love is much more than whatever we have created it to be on at Hallmark, you know? It is much more than what's coming up on Valentine's Day. It's much more than roses and flowers and sex and cuddling and doing what the other person wants and self-sacrifice. It's way more than that. And it runs so deep, and to find that real deep true self-love is the first step, to share that with other people and accept them even when your heart is breaking is the most beautiful thing that one being could experience. So, and I was also like into this other book. So as a lot of you know, I read a lot of Richard Rohr, and I follow a lot of Franciscan type of way of living, and I connect well there. That resonates for me. You know, Catholicism resonates for me very strongly, and that's what I read about. So I was reading about something that he wrote in his book called The Universal Christ, and was reading about love. And he said, you know, a lot of the people that Jesus healed, he would say to them, your faith has saved you, right? He never really said, I saved you, I did this, right? Jesus, he says in the book here, Jesus puts healed people back on themselves, never creating any kind of dependency or codependency on him that will keep them from their own empowerment. Can I read that again? Right? Because, you know, we are so codependent. People are so codependent on things and people and circumstances. And even they take the power away from themselves and just put it all on God. But Jesus sat here and said, it was because of your own faith that you're healed, right? He put it back on themselves, never creating any kind of dependency or codependency on him that will keep them from their own empowerment, period. Go read the Gospels and see if it's not true, right? And Richard Rohr is talking about this right here in this book. And I'm just like, whoa, you know, and he talks about like completing the circuit of divine love and coming into union, which is something that we all want. We all want union with somebody, right? But if we don't have that inner union with ourselves, and we do not have that union with God and recognizing God inside of us and the Holy Spirit and made in his image and likeness, we don't have the capacity to be in union with somebody else. It won't happen. You know, some people might know that I studied a lot about twin flames. And twin flames I got so much crap out there, right? That is not true. And, you know, stuff that's like has half truths and all these ideas behind it about finding the ultimate romantic partner and the other half of you and coming together in these two halves to make it whole. No, the other half of you is another whole. And they have to know that they're whole, and you have to know that you're whole, and you have to be connected in union with God for those two people to even come together in any relationship to work. And any relationship that is rooted in a real deep love and a real deep connection with the truest self has to be rooted in a relationship with God first, and then in union with somebody else who is also doing that same thing. One person will not be able to do it. One person can't make another do it. One person can't do all the work and send it out there and get hot. You know what I mean? Because I'm preaching now. One person can't do all the work for another human and raise their vibration high enough to make that other person love them or come to stuff on their own, right? Those people need to be willing to let go of everything. everything that they thought, everything that they were, let go of the other person, complete independence, not being codependent on anything, right? So it's just, you can come into union, right? And Richard Rohr in his book talks a lot about sacred union. And it's just funny to me that the spiritual New Age-ish type of community was talking about the twin flame stuff. And then here it is, a Franciscan Catholic friar talking about sacred union. Everybody's using the same terms. We're not talking about sacred union with another person. We're talking about sacred union with yourself and God and the Holy Spirit within you, and knowing that that's there. So, I could go on and on and on, but I just wanted to send a message out there to say, if you are struggling with these two things being separate, if you are struggling on how you would ever be able to bring them together, and if you're thinking that you need to talk about this in any way, I'm here. And I will continue to talk about things. I'll continue to spread whatever it is that I learn, or whatever it is that I experience with you, and spread that love. And this is love right here. Ultimate love, getting on Facebook Live with my hair all messed up from the weather today, with my weird shirt on from Turkey, and just being real. Like, whatever comes out of my mouth, I don't plan it. I mean, I just had a couple things to read to you, but I don't plan this stuff. So, I've been there. I have separated those two things out for so long, and I have learned so much about myself, and I have allowed myself to be transformed by God, by experience, and I've allowed my true self to be seen. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being open enough to watch the video and to stick with me and to watch the replay. I'm trying not to make it that long so everybody can get through it, because everybody's attention span's like this big before the next thing happens. So if you would like to hear me talk more about love and intimacy and connection and disconnect and what brings you there, then throw me some topics. Like, I'm willing to just kind of delve into whatever. But I've just noticed today, people are so afraid of love. They're so afraid of their truth. They're so afraid to be exposed. And even in that sharing of that, if they get down to that point, it still might not be the truth that stays forever. It's the true self, in essence, has no beliefs. And that doesn't really sound stable, but it is. It's just love. Love is not something that you can hold like this pen. It's something that is. It's the thread of the connection between all human beings. And, I felt it very strongly last night. And the speech of the Academy, was it Oscar Award speech by that guy, Joaquin Phoenix, or however you say his name. I can't always say his name right. I always screw it up. But, he was talking about the thread of humanity being all connected. And it was such a powerful speech. I cried. And I was like, wow, this is the truth. It's his truth. He spoke from that heart, didn't care that he was in Hollywood or whatever the hell anybody was going to think. And that's what's most important. And I'm willing to share my truth with anybody. And as you know, I'm open. So anywhere, anytime, this is my truth. I have been through the other side of love, way on the other side. And I am now over here checking things out on this side. And it's way more interesting than that ever was. But that made me, that enabled me to find that true me. So everything is a blessing, all of my experiences. And I don't know where I go next. Who knows? But all I know is that at this point, it is amazing, and I am open-hearted, and I'm here sharing my love with you, and I love you all. Thank you so much.